Just another brother with another humble question. Just another brother with another humble question.
Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. I appreciate you for joining me. We're going to dive in here in a moment, but before we get started, let me ask you to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it, man. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, and then comment. Tell me what you're thinking about some of these videos. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you. We're going to dive in. This week seems to me one of the things blowing up my timeline is the defense of the black woman this week. The defense of the black woman. So there was two incidences that I saw this week that particularly caught my attention. So the first one here is an exchange between Representative Nancy Mace and Michael Eric Dyson. So we're going to take a look. We're going to dive in on this real quick. Let's take a look.
Reruns. Donald Trump is in a very vulnerable
Talk
position.
about rerun. Kamala's.
Oh, you had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
No,
but
you mispronounced her and you also misjudged her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name.
That's a refusal to acknowledge her humanity.
If I purposely mispronounce your name, that would not be appropriate.
Policies are Joe Biden's policies. She owns
You're
it.
normalizing that kind of viciousness, man.
33 times.
She was the deciding vote.
She was the vice on Joe Biden's bill.
We know that
times the deciding vote on Joe Biden's bills in the Senate.
Let me just say this, because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being. But when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
So now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say. I just said you weren't a racist.
That is complete.
You don't have to intend racism
No. You are intending that I
your
am
disrespect
racist,
of Kamala
and
Harris
that
is part and parcel of a tradition of disrespect.
Okay, so there we go. So you heard her. She said, "I'm going to call her Kamala." And I'm gonna call it however I want to call it. So he kind of did the double entendre there, right? So he first stated that I know you don't mean any intentions by it, and then he says, but this is part and parcel based on the history of how white people have. I couldn't think of how he said it, but basically how white people have dismissed the concerns of or the names of black people. I don't know. I'm listening to that and I'm going, is she being disrespectful to Vice President Harris? I don't know. I don't see the disrespect. I know personally, I know I still mess up Vice President Harris' name. That's generally why if I refer to her, I actually say Vice President Harris, because I still don't really remember the exact pronunciation of her first name. So to me, I'm like, come on, man. You know, it's no different as a school teacher. Sometimes you see these names on a paper and you just wonder, how am I supposed to say this? Now, because of that personal relationship that we have to develop, right? It's a little bit more incumbent upon me to figure it out, to practice it, if you will. But when you know, as a representative who is dealing with the president from afar, I'd imagine, especially being that she's on the other side, it's not, I don't really see it as in her purview that she just has to, per se, you know, and again, it sounded like she was attempting to do it the right way, but she still messed it up. And then it was like, all right, come on, y'all. I'm not going to do this back and forth job. So I get it. Now, there's some other things that happened with that situation. I'm not going to get into the other stuff that happened, but I don't necessarily know if that is bad as they make it seem. But then this one right here set the internet on fire this week. I think he was trending for like 3 or 4 days about this right here. Let's take a look at this exchange from Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
She came in.
What's the black girlfriend? If they just come in and start fighting?
No, bro. You guys don't know about the black girlfriend effect. She just.
Wait, what is the black girlfriend effect? This is
you don't know about
glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend. All of a sudden, he's got buzz cut, like clean shape up.
Why did Amazon send me $20,000? Because I use Amazon AI. I'm going to show you.
Glows up, bro. I like that. Glows the fuck up.
They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends,
they grow a beard because there's more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of.
That's hilarious.
I think the black girlfriend effect. It might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Protective. Yeah. Do you guys have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Okay, so that's the clip that got the internet on fire. So 2 things I found interesting about this particular clip. So the first thing is, as I was going to do some research about the clip, I found out that this clip is almost 2 months old. So the actual episode, it was dropped on his particular podcast, on Andrew Schultz's podcast, 2 months ago. And so I know recently this week, I believe it happened this week, the young men went online, the 2 young men in the video. They're not a part of the podcast. They're actually from England. They were over, I guess they were doing some rounds in America at the time. And so they went online and they apologized for laughing at Andrew Schultz's comment and then talking about the importance of black women. But you got a lot of chatter online, even from a guy I like. I like Ryan Clark. I think Ryan Clark does a great job over there with Channing Crowder and Freddie T, Fred Taylor on the Pivot podcast. But after watching this clip, he dropped a whole about 10-minute video defending black women because he felt like Andrew Schultz was being disrespectful. And so here's what I'm going to say about that. I think we got to keep things in context. So the first context is that Andrew Schultz is a comedian. And so regardless of whether or not he's doing his podcast, at the end of the day, he's a comedian. And number 2, he approaches comedy from the old school mindset. And so you might say, well, what's the old school mindset? He don't care. That's the old school mindset. When you go back and you watch a Raw, when you go back from Eddie Murphy and you watch a Richard Pryor, when you watch a George Carlin, they said what was on their mind. And they could care less about what the audience had to say about their political correctness as it relates to what they had to say. And so Andrew Schultz approaches his comedy from that mindset. Now, I understand in 2024, we sensitive when it comes to certain topics. But when I think about black comedians have no problem talking about white women, white men, in any way, shape, form that they desire. And that's okay. Nobody complains about that. And so the self-righteousness that some people have, just because he chose to do a joke about a black woman, a stereotype about black women? Really? You kidding me right now? Because they do stereotypes about white women all the time. And nobody complains. In comedy, you got to be able to take that joke. And that's the same thing they did with Dave. When Dave was making the trans jokes, when Dave was cracking on white people, that's the same argument they made. You got to be able to take a joke, no matter who you are. And so that applies to white women, white men, black women. You got to be able to take the joke. If you're going to laugh at the joke about the guy with a handicap, then you got to laugh at the joke about with the woman. And so regardless of what you think or don't think, we all know that this woman exists. We all know that there's some black women that are going to act that way. We all know some of those black women in our own lives. So to pretend that how dare he make that joke, man, please, grow up. That's life. If you're going to laugh at the other comedian jokes, you better laugh at that one too. Because I don't care what you say. That was funny. And on that note, I'm B. Period. And I'm out.
Yeah.